Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I have the pleasure of presenting to you this fancy fold shutter card. As you can see, it's an Easter card in this case, and it stands erect so that the recipient can display it. And in addition to the card, I've also got an envelope that is custom made to fit this card. Now I've got a little confession to make. This is the second of this card I've made today. I had completed the card, and in fact here, this is it here. I'll show you just briefly. Looks very similar. I downloaded all the files, getting ready to edit them, and somehow managed to delete over half of the footage, so I had to start over. But it wasn't really too much trouble because this is really a very simple card to make, and it comes together very quickly, so it was not a great deal to me. So if you would like to learn how to make this fancy fold shutter card and the envelope, stick with me and I'll show you how. With this piece of cardstock, this is the American Craft cardstock, and it's cut at 9 by 9. And start with the first score line at 2 1/4 inches, and at 6 3/4. Then turn it one turn and score at 1 1/2, 3 inches, 6 inches, and 7 1/2. That's all the scoring. Next, fold and burnish these score lines. With this one here, with this rectangle here turned horizontally, we're going to cut down, if I mark it for you, going to cut a slit in this cardstock from this score line down to this one here. So here to here, and from here to here. So I'll just take my steel edge ruler and my craft knife, cut from that score line straight down to this one here. So I've got split here, and you do the same on the other side. I'm going to decorate the individual rectangles, and I have for that 8 pieces that have been cut at 1 3/8 by 2 1/8, 2 pieces that are cut at 2 3/4 by 2 1/8, and 3 that are cut at 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. These are going to be placed here. These will go on the smaller rectangles around the whole edges, and these will go into the middle. And in placing these, we just ignore these score lines. Don't worry about that. Just treat it as a complete triangle, or rectangle, I should say. And they are going to go into the center. So, I'm going to start by gluing these all in place. Now in this instance, I'm using this pattern paper as the mat, but if you wanted to have both a mat and a decorative layer, you could just cut, for example, a solid mat, and then cut the pattern paper just slightly smaller so that it would leave a tiny little border all around. So if you're using white cardstock, for example, you might want to use both a mat and a layer, but I'm just going to use the pattern paper layer. All the smallest rectangles, and now I have these two. We'll go at the top and the bottom. Here I have these three pieces, which are the largest of the rectangles. Again, I'm just going to ignore that score line there and treat it as a whole rectangle rather than that score line down the middle. That's all the matting done. And now we can move on to the decoration. Now, to determine what you're going to use for your decoration, keep in mind what's going to be on the outside. So this is going to fold up into a mountain fold. And these are going to be valley folds. These will be mountain folds, and these will be valley folds. So when the card is folded into place, and the more you fold it, the easier it will be for it to remember where to go. So this is going to be the outside of the card. So I want to put my most prominent decoration there. And then it will open out like so. So I'm going to go on, get all the pieces that I want to put here next. This piece here, I've chosen another piece of the matching cardstock, and I've got my little bunny in a cup or in a mug. And I'm going to attach it to this solid piece of cardstock. Just placing it there in the middle. And then I'm going to place it on here, but I'm not going to put it central. I'm going to actually put it towards the bottom because I've got another piece that I want to put further up on this panel. So put that about like so. And then what I've got for the top is I've got these pieces. I've got that plus these little eggs, and I'm going to just stick them on there, and I'll put the whole thing down. There we have the front of the card. I'm going to decorate these little panels. I've got my little little hoppy Easter here. I'm just going to put in there. And there is all the decoration done. And one other thing I'm going to do is I've got another piece of cardstock, or paper in this case, which is cut at 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I'm just going to put that on the back here for a message. You could, if you wanted to, stamp this with a sentiment or other decoration if you wanted. I'm just going to put it on there just so I have a place to write a message to the recipient. There we go. The card completed, and it stands for display. Now the only thing left is to put it in an envelope and send it to someone very special. Now, if you don't have an envelope that would accommodate this card, I have one which I'm going to show you how to make, and that is going to start with a piece of paper that is cut at 8 by 10.5 inches, and in the scoreboard place it on the 8-inch side and score it at 1.5 inches and at 5 inches. Then turn it to the long side, the 10.5 inch, and score it at 1/2 inch and at 10 inches. So that gives you 1/2 inch score line on either side. And then fold and furnish the score lines. Next, I want to cut out these rectangles here and here, and also at the top. This is going to be flap that folds over. Cut up the score line, and then just cut a little diagonal there, a little wedge out for the tab. Do the same here, and then do the same on the other side. For my tab, I'm going to use the corner rounder to round these corners off. I just think it makes a nice, neat presentation, but you don't have to do that. You could just keep it squared off. I'm going to round these corners. And now these are our tabs. Our glue is going to go. So what we want to do is bring this up. And so I only want my glue, I don't want it to go all the way to the top. So I'm just going to make sort of a little light pencil mark there, so I have a kind of a guide as to how far up I can go. I'm going to cut this score line out a little bit more. Then take the glue and place it on these tabs. Now I'll fold this up and use my bone folder to press that down. And if any glue squeezes out up there, you can always just take that off immediately. There won't be a problem. Same on this side. And there is the envelope completed. So we take our card. I'm going to slide it in here. As you see, it fits perfectly. And as a final decoration, I've got this. There is our fun fold shutter card complete. So thank you again for joining me today on this video tutorial. I hope you'll come back again for another very soon. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel, leave a thumbs up, a comment below, and of course share with your friend. In the meantime, please be safe and crafty hugs.